I'm Irene. I still remember that Christmas like it was yesterday. The ranch house was filled with the warmth of a fire and the smell of a homemade turkey, but the air was thick with tension. My mother, Elise, stood at the head of the table, tapping her fork against the fine crystal wine glass she reserved for special occasions. The sound cut through the chatter like a knife, and the room fell silent. "Before dessert, there's something we need to discuss as a family," she said, her voice steady but with an edge of determination. I was sitting between my grandmother, Rose, and my cousin, Ethan, still chewing on a bite of sweet potato casserole. I never finished it. What she said next was a bombshell. "As you all know, my younger daughter, Lily, is getting married in June. We've been planning a beautiful wedding, but we need the family to come together. The total cost is $93,000, and we've saved $15,000. We're asking Irene to help cover the rest." 30 pairs of eyes turned towards me. I could hear the silence, broken only by the faint buzzing of the Christmas tree lights. "You're asking me to pay $78,000 for Lily's wedding?" I asked, my voice slow and disbelieving. "This is family, Irene. This is what family does," my mother replied, her voice rising. She looked around the room, as if gathering support. "Pay for your sister's wedding or consider yourself cut off forever." I looked at my father, Henry, sitting at the other end of the table. He half stood, his voice flat and practiced. "Your mother and I discussed this. Nobody here disagrees. This is your responsibility." The room was silent. Aunt Sarah stared at her lap, Uncle David studied his fork, and Ethan suddenly found the Christmas tree fascinating. Grandma Rose gripped the armrests of her wheelchair, her jaw tight, but she didn't say a word. Lily held her fiancé, Max's, hand under the table. Max's face had gone white, he clearly hadn't known about this. I stood up slowly. I didn't yell or argue. I simply said, "No." The word hung in the air, filling the room more powerfully than any shout could have. I pushed my chair back, picked up my purse, and walked to the hook by the front door to get my coat. As I opened the screen door, the cold December air hit my face. I got in my car, my hands shaking so badly I could barely insert the key into the ignition. I drove back to my apartment in the city, crying the whole way. I had driven 45 minutes to bring love and food to this family gathering, and I was leaving with nothing but the word no echoing in my chest. To understand how I got to that point, I need to take you back to my hometown, a small town called Millfield, about 30 minutes outside the city. I grew up in a cozy 2-story house on Elm Street. My father, Henry, worked as a mechanic at the local garage. He left for work early in the morning and came back home in the evening, his hands always dirty with grease. My mother, Elise, was a schoolteacher. She was passionate about her job, but her salary wasn't high. We weren't poor, but there was never any extra money. No vacations, no fancy toys. But my mother always had a dream. One day, her daughters would have the perfect wedding. She herself had a simple courthouse wedding when she was 20. She wore a plain dress she bought for work, and there were no flowers or a big celebration. Her in-laws didn't come because they thought she wasn't good enough for my father. I became a nurse. Not because my family pushed me, but because when I was 17, I saw a paramedic save a child's life at a park. I knew then that I wanted to do the same. I went to the local university, worked part-time at a diner to pay for my books, and graduated with honors. I got a job at the city hospital's ICU, where I loved helping people, but it also meant long hours and a lot of stress. Without even realizing it, I became the family fixer. My mother needed her prescription picked up every month from the pharmacy in town, so I made the 45-minute drive. I did my father's taxes every year, saving him thousands of dollars in accounting fees. Grandma Rose, who lived in a nursing home, had me as her emergency contact. I rushed to her side whenever she had a problem. My sister, Lily, was 5 years younger than me. She was beautiful and had a carefree spirit. She worked at a trendy boutique in the city, selling high-end fashion items. She was close to my mother, and they talked every day. They would go shopping together on weekends and share their love for reality TV. Then Lily met Max. Max came from a wealthy family. His parents owned a chain of luxury hotels. They welcomed Lily into their family with open arms. When Max proposed to Lily on a romantic beach vacation, my mother was overjoyed. It wasn't just the happiness of her daughter getting married, it was the chance to finally have the wedding she'd always dreamed of. By August, my mother had put together a detailed wedding plan. The venue was a luxurious mansion on the outskirts of the city, costing $28,000. The flowers were imported from overseas, adding another $12,000. There was a live orchestra for the ceremony, costing $8,500. Lily's wedding dress was from a famous designer in Paris, $6,200. Photography and videography would cost $9,000. Catering for 200 guests at $90 per head was $18,000. And there were all the other little details like custom invitations, table settings, and hair and makeup for the bridal party, which added up to another $11,300. The grand total was $93,000. When I saw the numbers, I asked, "Where's the money coming from?" My father quietly told me that they had saved $15,000. That left a gap of $78,000. No one said who was supposed to fill it, but I could sense the unspoken expectation. In September, during a family cookout, the hints started. "Irene, did you know nurses in the big city make a lot of money?" My mother said casually over burgers. And after dessert, she mentioned, "The whole family should pitch in. That's how we support each other." Thanksgiving came, and Lily brought her laptop to show us the wedding venue photos. It was beautiful, but during the cleanup, Lily cornered me in the kitchen. Max's parents offered to pay for the whole wedding, but Mom said no. She said the family should handle it ourselves, she said. I was shocked. "What does that mean for me?" I asked. Lily looked me in the eye and said, "You make good money, and you don't have a husband or kids. It's just math." I was so angry that I left without saying goodbye. December was a nightmare at work. The flu season was in full swing, and there was a severe staffing shortage. I worked long hours, and I was exhausted. But my mother called and said she was planning something special for Christmas and wanted everyone there. I bought gifts for everyone, a silk scarf for my mother, a tool set for my father, a diamond-studded bracelet for Lily, and homemade cookies for Grandma Rose. I drove to my parents' house on Christmas Eve, carrying all the food and gifts. Little did I know that I was walking into an ambush. After that Christmas dinner, the calls started. Before I even got home, my phone lit up like a firework. By the time I parked at my apartment, I had 14 missed calls. My mother called 6 times, my father 3 times, Lily twice, and there were also calls from Aunt Sarah and some unknown numbers. The calls continued day after day. On New Year's Day, I received 122 calls. I logged every single one of them in a notebook, just like I did with my patients' records at the hospital. My mother's voicemails went from fury to pleading. "Don't throw your family away over money," she said, her voice breaking. My father's messages were short and desperate. "Call your mother. She's not eating." Lily just cried on the voicemails. 3 days after Christmas, I got a text from Max's mother, Grace. "I heard there's been some difficulty. Could we have coffee?" she asked. I almost didn't go, but Grace had always been kind to me. We met at a cozy cafe in the city. She showed me an email chain. The first email was from her to my mother, sent in October. "Dear Elise, Max and I would be honored to host the wedding for Lily and Max. Please let us take care of the costs as our gift to the kids. We want this to be a joyful time for everyone." The second email was my mother's reply, sent in November. "Thank you for the generous offer, but our family handles our own celebrations. Irene will be helping us with the costs. No need for outside involvement. I was stunned. My mother had decided I would pay for the wedding 6 weeks before she even told me. She had rejected the generosity of Max's family because she wanted to control every aspect of the wedding. The calls didn't stop, but they changed. My mother's pleas became more desperate, and my father's messages were filled with guilt. Lily sent me a text saying, "If you don't pay, there is no wedding. Is that what you want?" In mid-January, I got a call from Grandma Rose. Her voice was weak but firm. "Irene, I'm sorry I didn't say anything at Christmas. I was afraid of your mother. But you did the right thing. Your mother is afraid of losing control. Don't let her make you small." I broke down in tears. It was the first time someone in my family had stood up for me. I made 3 decisions. 1. I would not pay for the wedding. 2. I would not cut off all contact with my family. And 3. I would wait for the right moment to confront them. I texted Aunt Sarah and said that if the family wanted a real conversation, not another ambush, I would come. She replied quickly and said she would make it happen. I also asked Grace to forward me the original email chain, and I printed it and put it in my pocket. On the 3rd Saturday of January, we met at the community center. It was a neutral place, away from anyone's home. There were 30 of us, the same group as at Christmas, but this time it was just the adults. My mother and father sat on one side of the room, my mother with a rigid posture, her chin up. Lily was next to them, her eyes red from crying. Aunt Sarah was trying to keep the peace, offering coffee and snacks. Aunt Sarah started the conversation. "We're all here because this family is hurting. We need to talk and listen to each other." But my mother interrupted. "There's nothing to talk about. Irene knows what she needs to do. Just say yes, and this is over." I sat there, my hands on my knees, my scrubs still smelling of the hospital. I let her words hang in the air. Then my mother stood up and started her speech. "I never had a real wedding. I want Lily to have the best. Irene makes more money than we do, and she has no mortgage or kids. She's being selfish by not helping." I waited for a few seconds after she said selfish and then I spoke. "I'm going to tell you what I've done for this family. I've been picking up Mom's prescriptions for 6 years, making 72 trips. I've been doing Dad's taxes for 9 years, saving him thousands of dollars. I've been Grandma Rose's emergency contact, rushing to her side in the middle of the night. And every holiday, I've been the one to organize everything." I continued, "I make $76,000 a year, but after taxes, rent, student loans, and all my other expenses, I have about $1,100 left each month. I don't have a husband or kids because I've been too busy taking care of all of you." Then I reached into my pocket and pulled out the printed email. "Mom, in October, Max's parents offered to pay for the whole wedding. And you said no. You decided I would pay without even asking me. You did this because you want to control everything." The room was in shock. My mother's face turned red, and she started shouting. "That's private family business." But I stayed calm. "You made it family business when you asked me to pay $78,000 in front of everyone on Christmas Day." Lily stood up, tears streaming down her face. "Max's parents offered to pay, and you said no. They're going to be my family, Mom." My father finally spoke up. "I knew about the email. I told your mother to accept the offer, but she refused. I was afraid of her. I stood up and said, 'Mom, I love you and this family. I've spent years taking care of you all, but I will not be punished for saying no. I will not pay $78,000 because of your pride.'" I left the room, feeling a weight lifted off my shoulders. Grandma Rose gave me a nod of approval as I passed by her. A week later, Lily called me. Her voice was soft and apologetic. "Max and I talked to his parents. They're still willing to pay. I'm sorry for what I said. I told her I would think about going to the wedding. In February, my mother called. Her voice was small. Your aunt said I need to apologize. I'm sorry. I wanted Lily to have what I never had, but I was wrong. In June, the wedding took place at Max's family's lake house. It was a beautiful, simple wedding. There were wildflowers from a local farm, a guitarist playing soft music, and Lily looked stunning in a second-hand wedding dress that was altered to fit her perfectly. I was there, sitting in the second row, wearing a simple blue dress. I didn't organize anything, I just showed up. My mother came up to me during the reception and said, "You look nice. Your hair has grown." It was a small step, but it was a start. My father gave me a card that said, "I should have been braver. I'm trying." Grandma Rose caught the bouquet and said, "I've still got it." And everyone laughed. This experience taught me that real love doesn't come with an invoice. The people who truly love you support you, not burden you. And sometimes, saying no is the bravest thing you can do.